huge misconception, going back to things that people often get wrong. People will say, oh, well, I own the website, therefore I own the trademark. Absolutely not. It can't be further from the truth. Trademark is an apple. Website domain name is an orange. Those two critters do not. They might be in a fruit basket together, but guess what? They don't hang from the same tree. Y'all are laughing at the fruit basket thing. It's like, I think I've got one across from me. But seriously, a lot of people misunderstand that. They think, hey, I own hellochaos.org, therefore I own the trademark.
Right.
Nope. You own an address in the internet ether that's out there someplace, and if I type it in, I come to your podcast series or I come to your merch. But if you want that trademark, that branding piece, you need to go through the USPTO, the United States Patent and Trademark Office.
Okay.
Before filing it, though, do a search, see what else is out there, see what's close. Again, protecting the names of the not so innocent. We had a lady at one event, this has been about 6 months. And if you can hear me, Tom Ledbetter, I'm talking about one of your clients. Y'all love Tom. He's down at Midlands Tech. He teaches an entrepreneurial course. One of his clients had actually received a cease and desist letter.
Oh.
The person, we won't say he or she, did not tell us that they had that letter. And so they started pitching me all these straw man questions, very specific straw man questions. And I'm like, And I'm like, I tell you what, do I have your permission to do a trademark search? And so literally we pulled up an internet website. I put it in. Lo and behold, granted, these guys are all centered around Columbia.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, Somerville, here's a trademark for that identical thing, for the identical service the person's wanting. And I'm like, that's really weird. Said, I've had close ones before, but never a dead on, I just sank your battleship hit.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
then all of a sudden the person's like, can I share the screen for a minute? I'm like, yeah. And Tom was just like, yeah. Next thing we know, law firm name, cease and desist letter, that exact mark. And we're like, look, y'all, so maybe you missed the part where I said don't mimic people's stuff. There's also my God, you didn't even try. You took the exact name and you knew they were there, And they're like, well, is this fair? I'm like, fair is not a lawyer word. So sorry. This is my deceased contracts professor, Reynold Cossack, right now would be like, that son of a bitch listened. But it really is.
Fair is not a lawyer
It is not a lawyer word. It is. We are reasonable and we're not reasonable. Fair is just like this little fairy puff word. It means nothing. And so she's like, that doesn't seem fair. And I'm like, fair, not fair, doesn't matter. It's kind of, if y'all were
legal,
it is
not legal.
If you're Evil
covered,
Dead,
not
if
covered.
You're
Yeah,
Evil Dead fans, it's Ash, and it's like good, bad. I'm the one with the gun. And in this case, the gun is a registered trademark at the trademark office.
Yeah,
and
so how do they clean that up?
Yeah,
you go somewhere else. You find a new mark because
so you have to start all over.
You do, and that's the pain. Really, is that you've got this mark and you think, oh, I'm done on this, but that's why it's a day zero concept.
Have you ever seen it actually end a business?
I'm sure. I mean, I've seen it end an iteration of a business and said, hey, look, I've got a cease and desist letter. You've got somebody saying you can't do this. So this iteration of the business under this trademark name, it just has to cease. It's got to go. It's got to stop.
What happens when, besides the trademark and stuff, under intellectual property of data or design, like patents of, because we've worked with, I've known companies and founders and entrepreneurs that have created these great designs, have them protected, and then they notice there's competition, people that are coming and trying to copy them on the design, and they have to go through the headache of the cease and desist. What is that process like? Is that an easy win, or is it because it's to compete with somebody? Do they just have to have a slight change?
Well, I had a similar question related was, if it's not the same thing. So it's, Hello Chaos cups versus Hello Chaos barbecue. I don't know.
Sure.
Does that...
Good example.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you want to be Hello Chaos air conditioners, they can probably do it. It's going to be kind of tough for somebody to say, well, a podcast would leap over into the air conditioning industry. Probably not. And I make those arguments a lot of times for clients because trademark examiners kind of do what's the easy thing? They look for the easy answer. And they'll say, hey, here's your mark. Here's a mark very similar to it. And they may be very disparate goods. Or they might be in an area where there are a lot of marks. And that's the thing I try to shy clients away from. It's like, look, if you're known as Chaos Bus Lines, and there's another Chaos Bus Lines in Arizona, and they've not filed for their marks, and they've not protected themselves, you need to think long and hard whether you want to be the same name as somebody else in your business. because you are one misstep away from all consumers. And y'all know this in the entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
world, U.S. attention world, world attention world, people will not try to discern, was it Hello Chaos bus line in Arizona that had a crash or Hello Chaos bus line in South Carolina that had a crash?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will buy tickets for Hello Chaos bus lines. They
Right.
just stop in toto. So that's a big thing too for clients, is to realize, hey, yeah, this mimicry, you think it may make it easy. It might make it a lot worse. Maybe you don't get a cease and desist letter, and I'll circle back to those.
Yeah.
But you might just have consumer hate and be like, look, I'm not using this company. This
Just
other,
the confusion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why the trademark world, it focuses on confusion. Are consumers likely to be confused? Now, for your cease and desist letter, same parameters. There's times when we'll get a cease and desist letter from somebody and be like, come on. You're asking us to stop and you're being silly. There's a such thing as overreach. Your trademarks are only good in the areas that you register them in or you're currently using them in. You can't say, hey, I own Hello Chaos, and you can't be an air conditioner company. You can't make satellites. You can't make missiles, whatever you're going to make.
Right.
If it's that distanced from y'all, we don't have that type of reach out. But there are, and especially the larger companies who consider it to be all theirs. That's one of my favorite games, actually, is you will get an overreach letter from one of the big monster companies, and you get to kind of go back and beat them on the head a little bit and say, hey, this is all consigned about consumers. It's all consigned about a particular good or service. Just because you own the word X doesn't mean that you can block anybody in the universe from using X. Now, can they style it like you guys and look like you and use an orange motif and then start doing a podcast? Absolutely not. But if it's an air conditioner company and they call it Hello Chaos because their chief engineer is a madman, entirely different. Absolutely. Yeah, you are getting familiar with that concept. But that's what we're looking at. But the cease and desist letter thing itself, a lot of that can be avoided just with a good search. Is, hey, am I away from other marks? Is there anybody similar to me? Do a Google search, do a Bing search.
Yeah.
Go there and see what's out there. And again, I would caution you that if you see another Hello Chaos for podcasts, we wouldn't have gone that way.
Right.
But I do love the fact that y'all had a fresh and novel one. And people get very frustrated with me because I will tell them, hey, do your homework. Go back, like you guys will be talking to Dion Sandiford here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Dion got so mad at me when I told her, hey, you've got to go back and do homework. She's like, well, I'm coming to you, attorney. I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you, we have to go back and make certain that we have a clear playing field.
Right.
Because if we don't, there's some arguments to be made and ways you can try to work around a mark. But if there was another Chaos bus lines out there, we do not want to be Chaos bus lines.
Right.
There's just certain parameters that are always a big no-no. And back to the cease and desist letters, that's how you get one. If you're like the lady at that event, Tom, I know you're listening, but if you're like at that event and you get that cease and desist letter, move on.
Yeah.
That iteration of that company's dead. Now, can you do the same thing under another name? Possibly. And you probably want to because you've invested infrastructure in it.
Right.
But anything you've done that is branded under that name or the websites you've bought or the T-shirts that you're using, you just need to get rid of those.
To listen to the podcast, go to hellochaospodcast.com or wherever you like to listen or watch your favorite podcast.